Hello, everybody. My name's Rick McCutcheon. I'm a Dynamics 365 MVP. And today on Partner Talks, I have John Colgan from Solgari. John, introduce yourself and tell the people about Solgari.
Hey, Rick, how are you? Nice to see you again. Pleasure to be here. Yes, Solgari. So I'm the CEO, one of the founders of Solgari. We've been around for a couple of years. Built a huge connection with Microsoft. And the basis of where we're coming from really is that we entered into the whole cloud communication space at a time when there was a chasm to be crossed, I suppose. The cloud was being accepted. It had moved beyond the SMBs looking at bringing their telephony into the cloud, and more and more serious and corporate and enterprise applications were being moved cloudward. More effort and emphasis was being put on it from the provider's point of view. So, Azure, etc., massive extensions to the capability that cloud offers. And so combinations of those were driven home, I suppose, by the pandemic, where, remote working and the need for all of this kind of stuff was becoming very, very evident. But I suppose the premise on which we started that we were allowed to take this step back and look at where things were coming from and going to was that when we looked at the incumbents, if you like, in this space, across all of the range of what's relevant in communications, that from a cloud perspective, we could see that you had cloud telephony, you had cloud contact center inbound, you had cloud contact center outbound, you had recording, archiving, and retrieval of all of the different channels, and you had all the kind of reporting, etc., to be done. So from a functional point of view, you could end up with anywhere from 6 to 12 suppliers functionally trying to integrate all these systems to have a kind of unified position. And then I was extended, the complexity was extended dramatically because we've got so many new channels. It used to be just voice and SMS, and of course we all know that was extended to chat and instant messaging and video, and then all the social media channels came on board. You've got WhatsApp and WeChat and Facebook Messenger, etc., and new stuff popping out by the day. So what we did was we just took a position of sitting at the center and architecting something that would allow people to perform quickly and in an agile way, but comprehensively. And so we included all of the functionality from cloud telephony to inbound and outbound contact center, full feature and functionality, all full recording and archiving for all channels, and reporting and retrieval and all that kind of good stuff, and all of the integrated channels going out through this integrated function set. And what it means is that you've got all the data in one place. And then we deeply integrated that on the back end with CRMs like Dynamics 365. And so that excuse the pun, but dynamically as you work through Solgari and communication, you can see the updates happening in Dynamics as it's relevant. But it means that you can offer your customers all of the channels. You can offer them the flexibility of flipping between channels, and you're arming the agent with all of the channels material, the access to those channels, and all of the access to, in real time, to all the previous interactions with that client across all of the channels. So you have an opportunity to be conversationally intelligent, so to speak. And so that was our gig. It's full cloud SaaS model, so we can stand you up very, very quickly. We did a big NHS implementation where from the day we met them till we went live for 1,250 agents across multiple channels in a medium complex interaction, automated interaction for COVID tracing, was 10 days. So and so if it's a smaller or kind of a lesser complex or lesser voluminous environment, we can do that in days. We can have you live in days.
So if we talk a little bit about that, John, like your product can scale up to thousands of users, but how far can it scale down?
We have, from the early days, I have a friend's business who's on there. He's got 10 employees. And as he always says himself now, he's got all the material, all of the capability that a big enterprise has. And sometimes, Rick, we start with relatively small implementations, even though they're going to end up moving to enterprise wide. So no, nothing's too big or nothing's too small. It's just we're bringing all this capability into play into your business, whatever size that is.
So the contact center can use Solgari, but the sales team can also use Solgari, the implementation team. So it goes right across an organization.
It goes right across the organization. And I think that's one of the appeals that we have in the Microsoft world, is that, you know, from Microsoft point of view, the land part has worked really well. And so we're helping the expand part. We're making the whole Microsoft capability fully relevant across the enterprise. So you can implement very quickly with us, but then you've got full enterprise breadth that you can move out to once you prove. So on the prove and move. So, you know, you can do all of the stuff that we have, you know, outbound, the bulk outbound from multiple channels, you know, all of the full contact center capability is there. Setting up your teams, you know, your I don't mean your Microsoft teams, but your groups, your support groups, your agent groups, etc. And it's for all the channels. So yeah, that's really what we allow to happen. And then we've got a layer of automation on top of it, business functionality on top of that for multiple channels, where, you know, for example, ordering and reordering and scheduling deliveries and rescheduling deliveries, that's all automated across multiple channels. So what we're allowing for, if you like, is almost 3 service portals into the organization. One is a fully self-service, that's arm in arm with agent assisted, and that's arm in arm with direct to expert. So depending on the context, maybe of the inbound contact, we could put you direct to expert. That could be a designer in a retail world. It could be a private banker in a finance world, or it could be you know, a clinical psychologist in the healthcare world. You know, if it's a very simple case of ordering or scheduling or something, that can go straight to the self-service. And what that does is it increases customer satisfaction, because, you know, people don't want to queue up or speak to somebody for trivial things like this functionally. So that increases customer satisfaction. It also increases operational throughput. So when you're under pressure for handling volumes, you know, this allows you to do that automation part alongside the agent supported part, and that allows you to do that. And, you know, what that does then is, obviously, it's the more throughput, the more first call resolution in that context, the higher sales. So there's a domino effect from being able to do all of this across the organization, and having that automation, that self-service automation, as well as the agent assisted, but having comprehensive agent assisted. So, you know, when you're in a conflict resolution environment, for example, that you have access to everything that has gone heretofore with the customer, all of the interactions irrespective of channel. And those kinds of things lead to first call resolution.
Okay, great. So Solgari has always been sort of a partner-friendly ISV since the beginning. But when I first met you, you know, I kind of said, well, you know, the CRM partners that I traditionally have worked with, we didn't have a communications practice. So are we seeing partners now start to develop a communications practice?
Very much so, very much so. And you know, we have become partners of a lot of the Microsoft partners, when you talk about the Microsoft environment. You know, so to the point that we include these partners and their input and their intelligence from their market findings into our product roadmap. So we've had significant input from to our roadmap from people like, you know, Kyle Hill and Avanade, and, you know, great people like that are out there seeing what's being demanded in their implementation projects. So that's played a big part in us putting our roadmap together, and will continue to do so. So yeah, that's very important to us. You know, we're partnering with a lot of those and different types now. We've just signed our first partnership with a distribution partner. So for the SME world, we've put together you know, very comprehensive packages of capability that we can implement extremely quickly for those SMBs, and we're selling them out through the distribution channel partners in Microsoft. But yeah, no, we've built very vibrant partnerships with both the kind of systems integration and consultancy types like the Avanads, Hitachis, Accentures. We have ongoing projects with all of those, and local ones in Australia, you know, with Barhead and Fusion 5, you know, in the DACH region with Orbis, in Canada with CRM Dynamics and MMP. So yeah, we've got very vibrant partnerships there. And also we've got great partnerships with other inner circle partners that have IP. So we're partnering with Itinerus and Mecoms in the utility space, where we're the choice of communication partner for their capability, which is built on Dynamics. And we're partnering with Verypark in the financial services space. So, you know, communications is very relevant, Rick, in all of these. It's all about customers in the end of the day. And, you know, how do they get to you, particularly in this world, this pandemic type world and the post-pandemic world, which hopefully we'll get to some point, that, you know, remote access and communication channels are central to how business is done.
Great. So we talked a little bit about roadmap. Let's talk about, you know, 2022 is just around the corner. What are we going to see from Solgari next year that's going to be a game changer?
Yeah, so we're constantly extending what we're doing. So, you know, we're introducing a deep integration with Teams. We've noticed a lot of integrations with Teams are fairly superficial. So the icon for the partner is on the Teams rail, and Teams icon is in their interface. And as soon as you press the button, you're off actually into the disparate worlds that you were beforehand. So we kind of took note of that, and conversations we've had with Microsoft where having done the integration we did with Dynamics and how deep that is, they kind of encouraged us to do something similar. So a very deep integration with Teams and meaningful integration with Teams. And we see by doing that, we see that we will bring Teams into the mainstream contact center world. Because if you take what my previous piece where I talked about the 3 service type portals, the self-service, the agent assistant, direct to expert. Well, you can imagine that the direct to expert would be an automatic Teams environment where you have access to all of the features and facilities, because that's going to be a deeper and more collaborative interaction. And so we see that that's a very good starting place where we will drag Teams into the mix of the high volume interactions that the contact centers have, rather than being in the collaborative world only. So that's one. You know, multi-session management in the omni-channel for customer service hub is something we're building out, which will be very extensive the way we do it. We only do deep and meaningful integrations, and this will be extremely impressive. So, you know, from an agent perspective, it will be a massive step forward. You know, things like all channel bulk outreach, if you like, which I would call them. It used to be years and years ago when you and I started, it was only voice, so it was dialers, and yes. That's been extended. You know, SMS, bulk SMS is mainstream now, and so, you know, this is all channel where we will be able to put a layer of intelligence in to see, you know, on the last 5 or 10 inbound contacts from you, what was your channel of preference? So let's start there. If we're going to reach out to you, let's pick your channel of preference. And what were the topics you were interested in, you know, when you did make contact with us? And why don't we reach out to you with, you know, points of relevance to those topics across the channel that you use. So we're trying to bring more and more, you know, consideration for the end customer into play. And that's really at the centerpiece of everything we do, is not our customers only, but our customer's customer. What would they respond to? How would they resonate? Because we believe that the experience through Solgari can be made such a sticky experience for the end customer that they really truly will want to interact with you more and more, because it's slick, convenient, and relevant. Okay,
John, thank you very much for spending time today on Partner Talks. We'll be checking in again in the future to find out what's new at Solgari, but it looks like it's going to be a great 2022 for your organization.
Thanks, Rick. It was a pleasure talking to you. Thanks for the time.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye.